Hey guys, Josh here, and 2025 has without a doubt been one of the best years ever for farming and life sim games. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, Rune Factory Guardians of Azma, Fantasy Life, Tales of the Shire, and I know that last one was a bit divisive, but so many of these titles we were waiting on for so long finally released, and I would hope everybody found at least one game they love. So after all of these big releases, what's next? Admittedly, not too much for the rest of 2025, which I'm fine with. I will always prefer quality over quantity, and I will be showing you the 10 games I'm the most excited for that we can expect in 2026 and 2027. We're not really going in chronological order for this video as most of these games don't have a clear release date, but the one we're the closest to be playing is probably Witchbrook. For years and years, all we had of Witchbrooks were a few screenshots, but earlier this year we got a proper trailer showcasing some of the gameplay, environments, and so much more. In this one, we'll get to play as an aspiring witch studying at Witchbrook College in the vibrant seaside city of Mossport. While we won't necessarily be farming or gardening, we can expect most of the staples of the genre, where we have a daily routine filled with gathering materials, socializing and dating, seasons that change, festivals, house customization, all of that. Our time here will be divided between school, where we'll complete assignments, learn how to brew potions, cast spells, and what we learn will surely help us outside of class as we visit the different shops of Mossport, sell our crafted goods at the market, or help residents with their requests. And I know that there are so many pixel art life sims out there already, but this one looks so charming with its isometric style. There's so much detail everywhere, you can tell they've been hard at work on it for multiple years, and to me at least it looks very promising. Witchbrook is planned to release in winter 2025, which most likely means 2026 as there are technically only 10 days of winter at the end of the year, but if everything goes well, soon enough we'll be able to play this one on Steam, Switch, and Xbox. This next game was just officially revealed at the time of posting this video, so it might be your first time seeing it, Animula Nook. Its developers are kindly sponsoring this video and provided me with a ton of gameplay footage and information to share with you. In this fantasy life sim game, you will get to create a miniature version of yourself and experience the world from a new perspective as you, for example, navigate a river in a teacup, use a lollipop as a hammer, and decorate your house using an eyeglasses case for a sofa, or an MP3 player with earbuds for a TV with speakers. I've always absolutely loved games that played around with that concept of being tiny, like Chibi Robo, Grounded. I feel like there's so much possibilities for creative ideas. You get to experience a world that is so different yet so familiar, and I love what I'm seeing here so far. So we will get to adventure in different regions of Animula Nook, do some exploration, platforming, and we will be collecting not just physical materials like coins and buttons, but also more abstract things like sunlight, scents, and winds. Then we'll come back to this desk, which is just a normal computer desk at the beginning, and slowly we will build an entire city on top of it, with our house, shops, various facilities, and we will get to interact with other tiny folks, help them, and eventually convince them to move in. Visually, I think it looks stunning, combining a cartoony art style with realistic textures and lighting. Definitely a game I will be keeping an eye on, and it will be releasing for PC, PlayStation 5, and Switch 2. If you'd like to learn more and wishlist Animula Nook, there will be a link for it in the video description. We are going to be staying on a similar theme for our next game, Elusive. This game was indeed very elusive until recently, as the developer first teased it in 2022, and then we spent 3 years without any news. Luckily, we finally have a gorgeous trailer to look at. So this will be a sort of Metroidvania platformer, where we will get to explore a house in both 2D and 3D segments. There will be elements of resource gathering, crafting, building a community of elusive people, whatever that means, but it looks like the focus will be on the exploration part, and being careful not to get eaten by the cat and raven who are hunting for you. Elusive will be releasing for Switch 1 and 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Steam. This is a game I've been wanting to know more about for quite some time now. Admittedly, it does stray a bit away from the farming life sim genre, so I will count it as a bonus. This is now a list of 11 games. So let's go back to farming, but with a twist in grave seasons. After moving to the small town of Ashen Ridge, as usual, you will be farming, fishing, mining, all of these things, but then murders will start happening, and you will have to investigate in order to prevent the friends you have left from becoming the next victims. What crops you decide to grow and things you craft will help you in solving the mystery, and your interactions with the townsfolk will affect how the story plays out. You can even end up romancing the killer, maybe by accident, maybe not by accident, and it should make for a fun narrative that can vary from one playthrough to the next. I am so curious to learning more about this game. I have a feeling it might be on the shorter side and focus more on the narrative than the gameplay, but sometimes that's what we need, and in any case, it will give us a very different experience, and I'm going to be there for it. If you are also going to be there for this darker farming game, keep an eye out for Grave Seasons releasing on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Switch. 2026 is the only thing we have for the date. I feel like October would be perfect, that's when I would want to play it, but we will have to wait and see. This next game is a farming sim that's only been announced for Japan so far, but I am hoping for an eventual worldwide release, and this game is Honogurashi no Niwa. You will be starting a new life in this rural Japanese village where you farm, fish, and relax while enjoying the nature and flow of the seasons. The hand-drawn environments here remind me a lot of the Boku no Natsuyasumi series. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we have the Crayon Shinchan games that came out in recent years, and the style is similar to that. So during the day, you will be enjoying the slow-paced village life, chat with the villagers, and at night, things will get really quiet, and you will find yourself alone in the dark, or maybe not completely alone. Yes, it is another one of these games with a mysterious twist, and I am very intrigued. It is worth pointing out that Honogurashi no Niwa is being developed by Nipponichi Software, and more specifically the team who made the Yomawari games. I'm not familiar with Yomawari to be honest, but it looks like they have a similar eerie, spooky vibe to them, and also they did get worldwide releases after the Japanese ones, which is why I would be surprised if this new game never came out in the West. It is also the only game on this list with a date, so July 30th, 2026, in Japan for Switch 1, Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and Steam. I don't know why there are so many spooky games coming up all of a sudden, and this one you've probably heard so much about already, Haunted Chocolatier. This is the second game from Concerned Ape, the developer of Stardew Valley. There is of course the very recognizable art style, and some returning mechanics such as character interactions, romance, cooking as we will be running a chocolate store, decorating, but we will also have a larger world to explore, more weapons like a bow and arrows, and a slightly more mysterious or spooky story, which we don't know much about yet. In fact, we really don't know too much about this game, but it seems like it will be different in many ways from Stardew Valley. It will be doing its own thing more than following a classic formula, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. There is no release date, not even a Steam page. It will be ready whenever it's ready. I'm guessing just for fun, but I want to say 2028, maybe 27 if we're lucky, but let me know when you think this game will release in the comments. While we're talking about Concerned Ape, very quickly in case you missed it, Stardew Valley is getting a free Switch 2 update. This will give us mouse controls, 4-player local split screen, and game share, which lets one player who owns the game on their Switch 2 play with 3 of their friends who don't own the game, and even if these friends are on the original Switch. This is great news, and the update is planned for fall 2025, so very soon. The last few games have been a bit dark, so let's brighten things up with My Time at Evershine. From the developers of My Time at Portia and My Time at Sandrock, this is the newest entry in the series, taking place in the same world 3 years after the events of the previous games, but this time, instead of helping revive a small town, we will be tasked with developing a settlement from scratch. As the governor of Evershine, you will build infrastructures either by using preset builds or making your own with the modular building system, and you will then recruit settlers who will help bringing your vision to life. There will be 20 unique NPCs to interact with, 10 to romance, and they revamped the art style of the series to give its characters a more mature look. On top of all of that, we will have multiplayer, a large open world, a followers mechanic where NPCs can follow you and help you with chores and combat, and a lot more. It does look different from the last 2 games in many ways, but the developers at Patia Games always manage to deliver, at least with the PC versions of their games. They're always taking feedback seriously, making improvements, and I'm fully confident this will be an amazing game. There should be an alpha build for Kickstarter backers in the near future. They had to delay it to rework some of the gameplay loop, and it will be some time before everybody else can play it. Also, it will come out on PC first, then consoles, but I don't mind waiting, it will be worth it. Now, if you had the chance to watch the latest Nintendo Direct, you may have been just as surprised as I was to see this little game called Pokemon Pokopia. We will be playing as a Ditto who takes the form of a human character, and as we copy the abilities from all of the Pokemon we meet, we'll be able to terraform, farm, build, and decorate. The trailer we have does not show too much, but at first glance it looks like a peaceful version of Minecraft or Dragon Quest Builders, but where the emphasis is on meeting all of these different Pokemon with unique abilities, and then building a nice place for them to live in. It also reminds me of Harvest Moon: The Lost Valley, which is not a good thing. Don't get me wrong, I want to enjoy this game, I will definitely try it, but I am worried. It is a Switch 2 exclusive, so it won't be on the Switch 1, yet the graphics look a bit rough, and besides the fact that we'll have a ton of cute Pokemon by our side, it's not doing much to convince me that it will have enough substance, or that it will be different enough to make it worth playing over Dragon Quest Builders, for example. I love the idea of a cozy Pokemon Minecraft-like experience, and I hope I'm wrong, but I have this gut feeling it's going to be one of these titles that will get really hyped up just to end up disappointing. So I will just be waiting for it in 2026 with low-medium expectations, and if I get pleasantly surprised, well, I will get excited at that time. Now, going back to, yes, another spooky farming sim, we have Moonlight Peaks. In this one, our goal will be to prove to our father, who is none other than Count Dracula, that even as a vampire, it is possible to live a life of compassion. You will be sleeping throughout the day and waking up at night to tend to your crops, fish, play a variety of minigames, and get closer to the local werewolves, witches, and mermaids. You will learn spells and potions to help with your chores, the ability to transform into a bat to get around faster. The developers are really leaning into this supernatural aspect to make it feel like more than just another farming sim with a different coat of paint. I played a demo for this one a while back. It is still available on Steam if you want to try it, and I loved not only the atmosphere and the colors, but how everything felt so polished. The animations, sound effects, controls, attention to detail, that is what I think a lot of indie farming sims are lacking, and that was just a demo many years before the actual release. So it's looking very promising so far, and I can't wait to play it when it releases on Steam in 2026. Next, we have Rune Factory 6. Earlier this year, we had Guardians of Azma, which was a spin-off reimagining a lot of the core mechanics of the series, but in the eastern land of Azma, inspired by traditional Japan. It was definitely a big step up graphically, featured a great story, a lot more voice acting, and we got to rebuild and decorate 4 villages, each based on a different season. By the way, they just announced a free DLC for this game that will be based around Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. We don't know too much yet, and they're also working on a free content update in which we can expect more content linked to the relationships, new areas to decorate, and I hope some more endgame content. Going back to Rune Factory 6 though, all we have right now is a logo, but we also know that we'll be returning to the western part of the world, so we should expect a return to the more traditional formula of the series. That being said, one thing that's worth pointing out is that while Rune Factory 1 through 4 were developed by a studio called Neverland, which eventually went bankrupt and then brought back to life through a new studio called Hakama, who made Rune Factory 5 and Rune Factory 4 Special, it seems like since Rune Factory 3 Special, Marvelous has been developing their Rune Factory games in-house or with studios other than Hakama. So while we don't know yet exactly who's working on Rune Factory 6, it is most likely a pretty different team than Rune Factory 5, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of the mechanics like the farming or crafting systems that mostly carried over from 3, 4, and 5 were changed or reimagined a bit. We can also hope that they will keep some of the innovations from Guardians of Azma, like the quality that went into the cutscenes and graphics. They've not told us much yet, so we'll have to wait for more information, but I am so excited for the future of the series. Of course, I saved the best for last. Even though it is another game we barely know anything about, if I could pick only one game to play from this entire list, it would be the next Story of Seasons. If you've been around for a while, you may remember how in May 2023, right after showing us the teaser trailer for what we know today to be Grand Bazaar, the developers talked about a new entry that would focus on offering a multiplayer experience. They did not give us any in-game footage, simply these concept art illustrations. What stood out to me with those was how we could see protagonists from past games like Animal Parade, Trio of Towns, and Friends of Mineral Town. It didn't show any returning NPCs, however, so it might simply mean we'll get to wear outfits from previous games, or they could simply be placeholders to illustrate the idea that every character we see is a player. Who knows really, and will it be a live service game, free to play, a one-time purchase, or something with microtransactions? Will we be able to play offline and join our friends whenever we feel like it? Or is it going to be something closer to an MMO like Palia, where you're on a server with a bunch of random players? Let me know what your guess is in the comments, and we can come back in a year or two to see who got it right. There is no release date for this one, but considering that 2026 will be Story of Seasons' 30th anniversary, I wouldn't be surprised if we could play this very special game next year, and especially if it is multiplayer or very different than usual for the series. It would make sense if it was being developed at the same time as Grand Bazaar, but by a different team. Let me know what you'd like to see for that last one, but these are 10 farming and life sim games that I am looking forward to in the next few years. For now, I will go back to playing some Grand Bazaar. Let me know what you're the most excited for. Check out all of these games if you want to wishlist them. Don't forget Animula Nook, for which there's a link in the description. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.